As a military family, one of the biggest decisions you're going to make is, where do I live? Today, we're going to chat about whether you should live on base versus living off base, whether you're renting or buying off base. We'll talk about the pros and cons of that as well. And we're going to talk about it specifically with some details about life here around Camp Lejeune. Hi, my name is Emily Anderson. I'm a realtor here in Jacksonville, North Carolina, serving the military families at Camp Lejeune or anyone else in the area who wants to buy or sell or invest here in the area. I'm also a military spouse and I have experience with on-base housing, renting off base, buying a home off base, PCSing, and all of the things that come with military life. So today we're going to chat about some of the pros and cons of choosing to live on base or off base. And it's my goal that by the end of this video, you will know what's best for you and your family. So let's start by chatting about on-base housing. The first benefit of living on base that I want to talk to you about is cost predictability. If you live on base, your BAH automatically goes to housing. You don't have to worry about paying rent every month. If you have a little bit of trouble with controlling your spending, if you're not so responsible with your budget, living on base can be a good option for you because there's that safety net. The BAH never even shows up in your paycheck. It just goes straight to housing. You always know every month that your housing is paid for. Usually on base, your utilities are included. So utilities being like trash and recycling pickup, electricity, water, sewer, all of those things are included in your base housing. Now, I will say for a little while on Camp Lejeune, they were doing a program where if your electricity usage was higher than a certain level, you did pay the difference. I am not sure if they're still doing that program at the time of recording, and maybe you're not, they'll still be doing it by the time that you watch this. But keep in mind, there's a possibility you may have an electric bill at Camp Lejeune, but it wouldn't be the entire cost of electricity. The next benefit of living on base is that you are very close to work. Your commute is going to be shorter than if you live off base. So if commute times aren't important to you, that's just something to keep in mind as a benefit. The next thing that people really find to be a benefit living on base is that you are fully integrated into the military community. You are living in a neighborhood with other active duty military members. You're going to the commissary buying groceries with other military members. All of the libraries, gyms, amenities on base are going to be for military families. So if it is important to you to be fully 100% integrated into that military community, then living on base is going to provide some of that comfort and connection that can be really beneficial, and it really truly can make a big difference in your transition to new duty stations and in your ability to make friendships wherever you go. Okay, next I want to talk about the base amenities. If you live on base, you're going to be closer to the amenities and the resources that base offers. So here at Camp Lejeune, we have some really nice gyms that are available. We also have pools on base. There are splash pads, parks, playgrounds. You'll also be closer to the commissary. You'll just be closer to those resources that you have access to as a military family. Now, if you live off base, you still have access to those amenities. You can still use them. You just have to drive on base to use them. So living on base, you're closer. Now, of course, living on base is not for everyone. Let's talk about some of the cons to living on base. Now, the first con that I want to talk about is wait lists. When you arrive to Camp Lejeune with your PCS orders, you get checked in, and if you want to live on base, you will then get on the wait list for on-base housing. Sometimes you can get in right away, but for many of the neighborhoods on Camp Lejeune, at least currently, there's kind of a long wait list. Some neighborhoods, it's a couple months. There are some neighborhoods where the wait is over a year. So this is something you are going to want to investigate before you get here. You can call housing before you get here and ask what the wait times are so that you can prepare for what housing situation you are going to pursue when you arrive at Camp Lejeune. The next con to living on base is that there's limited housing choices. The companies that run the housing neighborhoods in Camp Lejeune will assign you a house. You don't get to choose. So you will live in whatever house they assign to you. Some of the neighborhoods on Camp Lejeune are quite a bit older. There are houses that definitely need more repair than others, and you unfortunately will not get a say in which house you live in. Another thing to keep in mind is that there are some stricter restrictions that come with living on base. There's the normal things that you would expect when renting a house. For example, you cannot paint the walls. You can't customize the house in any way. You can't attach anything permanent to the house. Additionally, if you are traveling with pets, and the majority of military families have pets, like the vast majority, so the base decides that each family can only have 2 pets in the home. That can be 2 dogs, 2 cats, a dog, and a cat. But you can only have 2. If you move to base and you have more than 2 pets, you're gonna get caught. I'm sorry to say it, but you will. Maintenance, they'll be coming into your house quarterly to change your air filters, check your smoke detector, things like that. When they come into your house, if they see 5 cats, you're gonna get caught. The other thing to keep in mind with pets on base is that there are very strict breed restrictions. There is no flexibility in that, no flexibility at all. If you're found to have a dog that is a restricted breed, it will have to be taken off base immediately. And you're going to have a lot of stress having to find an immediate place for your dog to live. You don't want to put yourself through that or your dog through that. Another con of living on base, this is just something that I found when I lived on base, there's not a lot of privacy. If you're someone who enjoys a lot of privacy, you're not really going to find that on base. A lot of the housing is similar to a townhouse where there's maybe 2 houses in one unit, or it's 4 houses connected together. You don't have a lot of space. Additionally, your yard is not very big. The fences are not very tall. You're going to be packed in really close with your neighbors. And all of the neighborhoods on Camp Lejeune, even the ones that are single family homes, they are packed together pretty densely. There is not a lot of privacy, and that might be something that is important to you. Okay, now let's talk about living off base. And the first thing we're going to cover is the pros. The first benefit of living off base is that you have a lot more home choices. Like we said, when you live on base, you live in the house that you are assigned to. If you live off base, you're going to choose what house you move into. So you have the option to live in a condo or a townhouse. If you want something a little bit smaller, you have the option to live in a single family home. You have the option to prioritize that you want a garage, that you want a big fenced in yard for your pets. You have a lot more flexibility in choosing the type of home that is most beneficial for your family. In addition, you also get to choose what area you want to live in. So you can choose to live in an area that's close to shops because that's what's important to you. You can choose to live down in Sneads Ferry or Holly Ridge because you really want to be closer to the beach. You can choose to live out in Richlands because you want more space and more of a rural feel. You have those options for the location of your home when you choose to live off base and shop around for housing. The next thing I want to talk about is a major benefit that you have if you choose to buy a home. When you purchase a home off base, this is an investment opportunity for you. This is a wealth building tool for you and your family. What a lot of military families do, or if they don't, what they should consider is purchasing a home off base wherever they are stationed and using their VA loan to purchase that home with no money down. Then when you get orders to your next duty station, you can keep hold of that house you purchased and use it as a rental property so that you are building wealth for your family. Somebody else is paying the mortgage and building equity in that house for you so that someday down the line, when you do sell the house, you have someone who's paid off a big portion of your mortgage and you have all that equity in the home, and that's money that you can cash out on someday later. This is something you should look into if you are thinking about your future after the military, and building a stable foundation for someday when you are transferring out of the military. The next thing I want to talk about is when you live off base, you don't have to worry about so many restrictions. Now, if you are renting a home, you're still going to have the restrictions of the property owner. Don't paint the walls, take good care of the house. They probably have pet restrictions. Most landlords do. So that might also limit the number of pets you have and the type of pet you have. Of course, if you own your home, you can do whatever you want. You can have as many pets as you want. You can do as many DIY projects as you want. You can paint the house and customize it to really feel like your own perfect, beautiful space. A major thing that families enjoy living off base is just having a bigger yard. Here in North Carolina, the weather is beautiful and you want to enjoy it. One of the things we love the most about living off base is our huge backyard. We spend so much time out there. Our kids spend all day playing out there, and it is a major benefit of living off base is having access to your own outdoor space that's big, where you can run around, where you can do what you want. You can put in a fire pit, you can have a hammock out there, whatever it is. You don't have restrictions, you get to choose. And this is a big benefit compared to the very small backyards that you get in base housing. The last thing I want to mention is that when you are living off base, you still have access to all of those resources on base. So you still have access to the commissary, the exchange, the base gyms, the libraries, and all of the base clubs and activities are also available to you. So like if you have a child and your child wants to play sports, you can sign your child up for sports on base. You can attend the big 4th of July celebration that the base puts on every year. You can still do all of those base activities and still have access to all of those resources that are specifically for military families, even though you live off base. Now, living off base is not for everyone, just like living on base is not for everyone. So let's talk about some things that you should consider. Now, the first thing you want to consider about off base living is your commute time. So depending on where you work on base and where you live off base, that's going to determine how long you're going to spend in the car every day driving to and from work. You also want to be aware that during those peak travel times when everybody's trying to go to work, you're going to have to wait just a little bit longer to get through the gate. Another thing to consider when you are looking at living off base is the extra expenses. We talked about how when you live on base, your BAH or your rent is automatically given to the housing company. You don't have to do anything. It just happens automatically. You never even see that money. When you live off base, you got to pay your rent or your mortgage. And that's something that you have to manage and budget for. There may be additional fees that you need to account for if you are renting or owning your home. Like you're going to have to pay for utilities. So you're going to need to think about your electric bill, your water bill, sewer bill, trash and recycling. If you purchase a home, you may also need to factor in what the HOA fees are if you're living in an HOA community. Another thing to consider, especially if you are buying a home, you're responsible for the home maintenance. You're the homeowner. You're the one who's going to need to do those repairs. And so it's important to keep that in mind, that you'll either need to do your own home repairs or to contact somebody to do your home repairs. Just keep in mind there is some more responsibility and upkeep that comes with owning a home. Okay, so that's our overview of some of the pros and cons of living on base versus living off base. You want that military community. If you want to be close to work, low commute times, then living on base is going to be best for you. If you want more flexibility, if you want more choice in where you live, what your home looks like, more freedom in that way, then living off base is going to be best for you. Only you can decide what is going to be best for you and for your family, but I hope this video has helped you narrow down some points, given you some things to think about so that you can make an informed decision for you and your family. If you watched this video and you thought, yeah, I definitely want to live off base, give me a call, send me a message, and I'm happy to help you find the perfect housing that meets your specific family needs. I will help you find what you need. I know the area, and I'm so happy to help other military families find their perfect place. If you need help, please reach out and be sure to hit subscribe for more videos about PCSing, about the Camp Lejeune area, about real estate, about life in Onslow County in Eastern North Carolina. I'm here to help you. Have a great day.